Hello everybody, welcome in to Trackalicious, where we are bringing you live coverage of Round 3 in the Le Mans Ultimate season on Tuesdays. It is the Sprint League, 40-minute races coming up for us tonight. Qualifying just about finishing up. There is 1 minute to go. In the session, we will bring you the starting grid once the timer ticks over to the race. Slightly delayed start here, but nonetheless able to bring you the racing action here tonight. Beachley going for a not last challenge. Let's see how that works out for you, my friend, and also a hydrate in there as well. Cheers. Got some sparkling water. Mojito flavored, mint and lime. All things that are good. So yes, race coming up, 40 minutes of action, qualifying just about finishing up here as we get the grid set. Ricardo Rivera has 2 race wins on the season. Let's see if anybody can sweep that victory, or take the victory sweep away from Ricardo Rivera, that is, and one Bigley back to the podium on a 38-month streak. That's 3 years, 2 months, and counting from our good friend one Bigley, and a donation as well. Thank you, my friend. Hope you are doing well tonight on your fine Tuesday evening, night, or Wednesday early morning, wherever you may be joining us from. Happy to have you here with us tonight. And so, qualifying just about completed around the infamous track in Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps, deep in the heart of the Ardennes forest. Lots of beautiful hillsides surrounding the area. Very picturesque place to go and have a visit. If you're just taking the hiking trails around there, you would have no idea there's a track just on the other side of all those hills. And so, with the end of the session, let's head to the track and see exactly what is what. Ricardo Rivera completing the qualifying session, and he is on top by a good margin as well. A 2:18.044 set by Ricardo Rivera. The next best time, 1.1 seconds off the pace. As we wait for the timer to tick over to the race, and we will begin round number 3 with 40 minutes of racing. And so here we go with the starting order. I believe in 22nd, we're going to have Louis Franco starting in the McLaren. Up next in 21st is going to be Justin Beachley. Then inside the top 20 is going to be one Bigley, joining the Trackalicious podium for 38 months and the donation. Thank you very much, my friend. Alongside him is going to be Dr. Porkchop in the 71 Aston Martin. In 18th, Raheel Naidu in the number 2 Porsche. Then is the 138 BMW of Mondo Mando. In 16th, Chris Larandi in the Ford Mustang 317. In 15th, Dakota Thomas in the number 6 Lamborghini. In 14th is the Lexus, the 777 of Brian DeSantiago. He lines up next to fellow Lexus driver Jeremy Wasson in 13th. Still in the garage. In 12th is Hammy Patch. In 11th, Joshua Lopez. Sneaking inside the top 10, the BMW number 46 of Corbin Windsor. In 9th, we have Jake Terrell in the 83 AMG. George Elmer ahead of him in the number 22.
Formation lab has
Parker Standrett in the number 79 Lamborghini starts from 7th place with Edward Pena ahead of him in 6th. Pair of Mustangs ahead of Pena in 5th is Zach Terrell. And in 4th place, podium sitter from last week, Ed Torres. Mason Perchalski gets into the top 3 in his number 10 Aston Martin with Grant Lucarelli in the number 11 ahead of him starting from the front row. And an all too familiar name starting from pole position. It's Ricardo Rivera, who will lead the grid on this short formation lap into the bus stop chicane, and the racing action will begin. And here we go. Around the around the final corner we go.
green flag.
And up to the start-finish line we go. The green flag is waving, 40 minutes ticking down, and Ricardo Rivera challenged into turn 1. It's Grant Lucarelli who's making the move around the outside, and it looks like he's just got about a nose ahead. For the meantime, the 2 leaders, the 2 front row starters running down through Radion and Eau Rouge, and Lucarelli gets ahead. So the Aston leads the way, with Rivera falling back to 2nd place at the start. We saw this in round number 1. Will he be able to come back sooner? And Mason Perchalski getting swallowed up by Ed Torres. That's a great start from the Mustang all the way up to the podium positions. Perchalski down to 4th, and the number 50 of Edward Pena in 5th place. Parker Standrett moves up a position to 6th, same with Jake Terrell in 7th place. As Jake Terrell, podium sitter from race number 1, looking to make up the ground early here. Now has Parker Standrett in front of him. We saw Standrett do some great defending last week around Interlagos. Will it be the same story this week in the plaid Lamborghini? And here we go, out of the double left-hander at Pouan. And Jake Terrell gets ahead into the first part of Piff Paff. Gets the AMG up ahead and up to 6th place. Now he has Torres up ahead of him by about 2 seconds. Jake Terrell already up 3 positions from where he started. And Grant Lucarelli leads the way, with Ricardo Rivera falling back to 2nd. But these two have put up a pretty decent gap over Mason Perchalski in 3rd. In fact, Perchalski got back up to 3rd. Pena was running in 3rd after the after the run down the top of the Kemmel Straight, but Mason Perchalski able to get back through. Up the hill, the infamous blast through Eau Rouge and Radion as the race continues on. Hydrate from Mr. Akane. Thank you for that. And the run down to Kemmel Straight, almost effective for Ricardo Rivera there. He thought about sneaking a nose down the inside, but just peeled out at the last moment. And Lucarelli lives to fight in the lead for another corner, with Rivera trying to position the Aston offline, but in doing so might be slowing himself down just a touch. Edward Pena behind Torres now. still in a good position. Gets inside the top 5, up a position from where he started the race. And Ricardo Rivera gets through the double left-hander. Down in Pouan, the Lamborghini got ahead of the Aston Martin and now leads the race. Good start from the two Lexus drivers. Wasson and DeSantiago both up 3 positions from where they started, and they have got a lot of cars up ahead of them for position. The Mustang of Zach Terrell sits in 9th. Josh Lopez in the BMW in 8th, with Parker Standrett defending in 7th, and we have yet another Standrett train here. 5 cars piling in behind the plaid Lamborghini. Brian DeSantiago trying to sneak a move around the outside. A fellow Lexus driver, Jeremy Wasson, and he tries to cut through. And Josh Lopez able to get through Standrett, who had to cut through the bus stop. The Mustang gets through as well. Jeremy Wasson lines up a move down the inside and already ahead before the last source hairpin to start the lap. Brian DeSantiago unable to take advantage of the misfortune of Standrett there. So Standrett now back to 10th. Wasson moves up a place. Terrell moves up, and Lopez now leads the front of the train from 7th place. Oh, and that's huge contact from the Lamborghini! My goodness me! Wow. Take your eyes off the screen for 1 second. Look back. There's a Lamborghini flying through the air. Justin Beachley making good progress on his last to not last challenge, up to 12th now. Using the WEC livery of the 61. And unfortunately, a significant amount of damage to the Lamborghini of Standrett. Going back to the pits, same with Mondo Mando in the 138 BMW. Justin Beachley challenging Corbin Windsor in front in the number 46. Battle of the two German manufacturers. Both front-engined. A very different looking body though. The long nose on that AMG, the BMW more sedan. Oh yeah, when you're... Yep. When there's some suspension damage on the back, the car really does not like to turn, and unfortunately finding out the hard way there. Beachley continuing to apply the pressure, heading down the hill before rising back through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Trying to chase down the Porsche ahead of Rahil Naidu. Edward Pena back to the pits as well, unfortunately, was running up in the top 5. And some mishaps for the AMG there. Heading back to pit lane. So that promotes Jake Terrell into the top 5, and he is on the back of Ed Torres for 4th place. Ricardo Rivera pulling out a pretty healthy 2-second gap over Lucarelli, and the two Aston Martins in second and third, separated by about a second. And then here is this battle between Ed Torres and Jake Terrell for fourth and fifth place. Into Blanchimont we go. Right on board with Jake Terrell's car in his pursuit of the V8 powered Mustang up ahead. You can hear the gearbox whining as he lets off the throttle there. Just about 10 minutes gone by. Rivera in the lead. Lucarelli in second. Perchalski rounds out the podium positions. Then Ed Torres, the Mustang, ahead of Jake Terrell here in fifth. And that rounds out your top five. Hami Patchy up 6 positions to get up to sixth place. Raheel Naidu with some great movement up the field, up 11 places to seventh. Then you've got Corbin Windsor in 8th, Justin Beachley in 9th, making great progress up the field in his last to not last challenge. Chris Laronde rounds out the top 10 with him battling with Josh Lopez, and in fact, it's Josh Lopez that has that top 10 position now. Chris Laronde in 11th, One Bigley in 12th, Dr. Porkchop 13th, Jeremy Wasson 14th, Brian DeSantiago in 15th. The pair of Lexuses just keep finding themselves out on track. They were up inside the top 10 at one point, now back to 14th and 15th. George Elmer in 16th, Louis Franco in 17th, Dakota Thomas 18th, and Zach Terrell in 19th place. And it's back to the pits, in fact, for Zach Terrell. Oh, there's a problem for Ricardo Rivera. He has dropped back behind the pair of Aston Martins to third place. So Lucarelli gets back into the lead of the race from Mason Perchalski. That gap now less than a second between the two Aston Martins. And Ricardo Rivera slots into third ahead of Torres and Terrell. To the chicane to close the lap. Two Aston Martins now lead the way. Ricardo Rivera in third, Torres fourth, Terrell still on the back of the Mustang in fifth place. Look at this, Windsor and Beachley on the back of Raheel Naidu for seventh place. And Hami Patchy up ahead, dropping back into the grasp of the Porsche as well. The BMW pulls out of the slipstream, but not close enough to make the move just yet. 4 different manufacturers here battling it out for position. Mustang leads from the Porsche, ahead of the BMW, and Justin Beachley at the back of this 4-car train. Slightly slow cresting Radeon for Naidu. Corbin Windsor already side by side as they blast down the Kemmel Straight. But the Porsche very confident on the brakes, able to sneak ahead, but the BMW still has a bumper and there's some side-by-side contact between the two of them as they close out Lake Combe, and back down the hill they go into the hairpin, and the BMW shuffled to the outside. Justin Beachley sticks a nose in, and the AMG might just get the position, but Windsor again to the inside, able to defend it, running a little bit wide onto the gravel though, slowing his momentum down as they head down the hill into Pouhon. And it is the same order as we close out Sector 3. Windsor heavily into the gravel, and the BMW goes spinning into the curbs. Or excuse me, into the wall. That's going to be a good amount of damage to the front end of Windsor's BMW as Beachley moves up a place now to 8th. He's going to try to chase down Naidu and Patchy in front of him. George Elmer up now to 14th place as he looks to chase down the Lexus of Brian DeSantiago up ahead. Oh, and drivers just falling out at the 15-minute mark. We've also now lost Louis Franco, Edward Pena, and Jake Terrell running from inside the top 5. So Elmer, after starting inside the top 10, falling back on the opening lap to the back of the grid, but it is making good progress up to 13th here. He's got Brian DeSantiago up ahead of him in 12th. And Rahil Naidu got passed by Justin Beachley, so it's 7th place for the Porsche now. Beachley up to 6th. So the AMG now trying to chase down Hammy Patchy in 5th. Naidu hoping to stay close to the AMG in any efforts to try and get that position back. All right, on board with George Elmer for the finale of the lap. Through campus they go and into Stavolo. Very quick set of right-hand corners. Don't want to run too wide though. There's that gravel just waiting to pick up a tire and slow down any momentum the cars may have down this flat-out section of the track. Into Blanchimont. Pretty much flat-out left-hander. And into the very heavy braking zone to close the lap at the chicane. Elmer remains behind Brian DeSantiago in this battle for 12th place. Justin Beachley able to stay close to Hammy Patchy in 5th. Has put a pretty decent 1.5 second gap between himself and Naidu behind. This is a mighty charge from Justin Beachley. Just 18 minutes, not even halfway into the race. And Justin Beachley up 15 positions from where he started. Quick rundown of the grid. Up in the lead, Grant Lucarelli in the number 11 Aston Martin. Had the lead after lap 1, lost it to Ricardo Rivera. Then the Lamborghini had a moment. So Grant Lucarelli back into the lead. Mason Perchalski in second, staying within touching distance of the race leader. And then Ricardo Rivera pretty close behind. He rounds out the podium positions in the number 53 Lamborghini. In fourth place, you have Ed Torres. And now in fifth, Justin Beachley. He was able to get through the Mustang, and it's now a top 5 position for Justin Beachley after starting in 21st place. Emi Patchy in 6th. Oh, just dipping a wheel into the gravel, slowing down his progress down the hill. Naidu in 7th, now with pressure behind from Joshua Lopez in 8th place. Chris Larondi in 9th. One Bigley rounds out the top 10. And as we go up the hill through Radion, Josh Lopez has a great overspeed run on the Porsche here, and he is ahead before the braking zone. Will the Porsche try and dive out late? No. Naidu just tucks back in behind. That's now 7th place for Josh Lopez. Naidu back to 8th. So one Bigley rounds out the top 10. Dr. Porkchop in 11th place. Then you have Brian DeSantiago here in 12th, getting pretty close to the Aston Martin behind, and George Elmer in 13th position. Jeremy Wasson having to take a trip down the pit lane to repair some damage in 14th. Same with Dakota Thomas in the number 6 Lamborghini. He is in 15th place. Zach Terrell and Corbin Windsor also taking a trip down the pits to repair some damage. Zach Terrell in 16th, Corbin Windsor in 17th. We've lost 5 drivers from the race so far. Jake Terrell, Edward Pena, Louis Franco, Mondo, Mando, and Parker Standrette. Now these 3 getting very close. Santiago wants the position ahead of Porkchop. Porkchop doing a good job defending, though. Not giving any of the track to Brian DeSantiago to try and attack. I think it was the Aston that dipped a wheel into the grass, or the gravel, excuse me. As these 3 running very, very close to one another. Will Brian DeSantiago line up a move into the chicane? It looks like he's thinking about it, but it's George Elmer who does the late move, but not quite alongside enough to see himself get to the apex first. And from one 3-car battle to the next, Mason Perchalski under pressure from Ricardo Rivera as they exit Speaker's Corner down the hill into Pouan. The Lamborghini trying to fight for some grip, looking for a way by, but very tricky to do down that left-hander. There's the view we want from Ricardo Rivera's perspective. You can hear that V10 roaring behind as they exit Curve Paul Frere. And into Blanchimont we go with the top 3. A bit of a lift on exit from Ricardo Rivera. Oh, he's so good on the brakes there. Almost had room down the inside to sneak on through. Perchalski closed down that opportunity in a heartbeat. So the top 3 order remains unchanged for now. Same with the order from 11th to 13th. Porkchop ahead of DeSantiago, ahead of George Elmer. And into the chicane we go once more. Oh, a bit of a moment there from the Lexus, just trying to get the power down. But the traction control not cooperating. Big wiggle on the exit. Fortunately for him, Elmer not close enough to take advantage of that slip. So they shoot down the hill. Porkchop up ahead. But DeSantiago looks like he got a great exit out of La Source. Can he keep the momentum up the hill through Radion? Down the Kemmel Straight we go. This is for a spot. This is for 11th position, I should say. But the Lexus just not close enough, even with the slipstream, to take advantage of the Aston Martin at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Down the hill, out of Speaker's Corner, Brian DeSantiago gets a nose ahead and through Pouan. Gets the position and up to 11th he goes. Can George Elmer try and get past the Aston Martin as well? But Dr. Porkchop's gonna fight it. A bit of contact. Brian DeSantiago goes spinning into the gravel. Can he keep it out of the wall? He can. George Elmer able to slip through the both of them, so it's now 11th for the AMG. Dr. Porkchop to 12th, Brian DeSantiago in 13th. How about this? Ricardo Rivera got through Mason Perchalski, and he's gonna get through Lucarelli as well. 2 Aston Martins in one go. Back into the race lead for Ricardo Rivera. And just like that, the Lamborghini back into the race lead. Lucarelli to 2nd, Perchalski in 3rd. And now can Perchalski fight with Lucarelli for 2nd place? Joshua Lopez making good progress. He is on the back of Hammy Patchy for 6th place. Jeremy Wasson in the Lexus behind. About a lap down. Hello, Raiders. Welcome in. Hope you're all doing well. Hope the stream went well. Happy to have you here. 12 minutes to go in round number 3. At the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. Joshua Lopez getting out of the way of Jeremy Wasson there. That is not for position. Wasson, unfortunately, having to take a trip down the pit lane to repair a bit of damage. Yeah, McLaren seemingly not a popular choice. I guess you could maybe attribute that to the McLaren being one of the free cars available from the base game, and now with enough time passed, more people getting more of the DLCs. Ricardo Rivera leads the way from Grant Lucarelli. Perchalski in third. Ed Torres in fourth. Justin Beachley in fifth. Hammy Patchy in sixth, going up the hill ahead of Joshua Lopez here in seventh. In eighth, Raheel Naidu. In ninth, Chris Larandi. One Bigley rounds out the top 10. George Elmer in 11th place. Dr. Porkchop 12th. Brian DeSantiago in 13th place. Jeremy Watson 14th. Dakota Thomas in 15th. Zach Terrell 16th. And Corbin Windsor in 17th. Lost Jake Terrell, Edward Pena, Louis Franco, Mondo, Mando, and Parker Standrett in the early goings of the race. Yeah, I do believe the grid on SimGrid is full. Not sure if the more sign-up slots will open up, or whether we could have you join as a reserve driver as well. That I do believe is a possibility. Can Josh Lopez find a way by the Mustang of Patchy in front? Yeah, the Multi-Class Wednesday League is certainly a bunch of fun with those longer format races, the 2 mandatory pit stops. A lot different ball game compared to the sprint races going on here. Can Josh Lopez fight for the room down the inside? Room is given by Patchy, and 6th place goes to Josh Lopez. Well, hey, spring sale's going on right now. I believe just about every LMU DLC is on sale. So now might be a good time to pick one of them up. Good move from Josh Lopez into the chicane. Just lines up into the braking zone. Fights for the room early on, and space is given to him. So Lopez up to 6th. Hammy Patchy in 7th. Mason Perchalski still in hot pursuit of Grant Lucarelli for 2nd position. The two Aston Martins trailing the Lamborghini by 2 seconds now. Herrera able to pull out a pretty decent gap over the pair of Aston Martins here. And Perchalski turn up the heat in the last 7 minutes of the race to try and challenge Lucarelli for 2nd place, or is he happy just where he is, sitting in the podium positions? And Torres got a little bit involved at the start, try and fight for the podium places. But a bit of a quiet race for him now. 4 seconds between him and the Aston of Perchalski in front, and 36 seconds to Justin Beachley in 5th place. Similar kind of story for Justin Beachley. Very exciting first half of the race, up 16 positions from where he started. But now the gap's kind of opening up here. Like I said, 36 seconds to the car ahead, and 4 seconds to Josh Lopez behind. And Lopez push the BMW to try and catch up to the AMG of Justin Beachley. Time is ticking away, though. Just 3 laps remain. We'll ride splitter cam with Mason Perchalski in his efforts to chase down Grant Lucarelli for second. Of course, the 2 Astons running similar livery. Teammates don't want to hit each other, that is for sure. Gearbox almost popping there on the downshifts into the chicane for Perchalski. Cars bouncing as they crest the hill. Lucarelli slow on the exit there. Perchalski up to second. Not sure what happened with Grant there, but just letting Perchalski go through slow on the exit of the Kemmel Straight, or at the end of the Kemmel Straight, I should say. But still in a podium position here. Ed Torres, 3.5 seconds back. Doesn't want to go too slowly here. That might allow the Mustang to sneak up and take that final podium position away. Oh my goodness, George Elmer spinning at the exit of the top of the hill. He was so close to one bigly to get a spot in the top 10. But right as we tune in, the car just started oversteering, losing the rear wing in the process as well. Elmer loses a position to Brian DeSantiago as well. He's now up to 11th. Unfortunate incident there for George Elmer. Dr. Porkchop goes through as well. As Hammy Patchy going slowly. Naidu gets the position ahead of the Mustang. It's now 8th for Hammy Patchy. Ricardo Rivera pulling out a 5-second gap to second place in just the last 3 or 4 laps alone. Some mighty pace late on here from the Lamborghini. As Jeremy Wasson unfortunately returning back to the garage. George Elmer with the damage late on in the race. Carter Rivera had pole position from the start. Lost it in turn 1 on the opening lap to front row sitter Grant Lucarelli. Fought his way back. then dropped back down to third behind the two Aston Martins, got ahead of both of them, and now has pulled out a healthy 5.5 second gap. Will this be the last racing lap for Ricardo Rivera before he takes the checkered flag? We'll just have to wait and see what the timing will look like as we get to the end of the 4.3 mile lap. It is the penultimate lap. One more to go. Ricardo Rivera in the lead of the race. He just has one final trip left around the world famous Spa-Francorchamps track here to take win number 3 of 3 on the season. Oh, and Hemi Patchy in the gravel now. Slides back down to 11th. Larondi moves up a place, as does One Bigley. So the Mustang of Mr. One Bigley up to 9th place, up 11 positions from where he started. Brian DeSantiago rounds out the top 10 in the Lexus. Santiago rounds out the chicane to start his final lap of round number 3. Dr. Porkchop in 12th, also starting his final lap of the race. Ricardo Rivera with just one sector to go. That's what the rear wing is looking at. A good 6-second gap to the car behind, just appearing out of Blanchimont now. And Ricardo Rivera rounds out the 20th and final corner at Spa for the final time tonight. He is tonight's race winner. It is a 100% win rate for Ricardo Rivera. It is 3-4-3 on the season. Mason Perchalski finishes in second place, and fellow Aston Grant Lucarelli rounds out the podium places. Ed Torres across the checkered flag in fourth place. Who will finish in fifth? Will it be Justin Beachley with a great climb up the field, starting from 21st, up 16 positions for a potential bid inside the top 5. Can he finish it out? That's the gap to Josh Lopez, the final braking zone. Just too far for the BMW to try to close that gap in. So it will be 5th for Justin Beachley tonight as he crosses the checkered flag. Josh Lopez in 6th place. Rahil Naidu out of the final corner to take 7th place. That is the 46 BMW of Corbin Windsor taking 15th. Chris Larondi up 8 positions from where he started to finish in 8th place. One Bigley under pressure from DeSantiago, but able to take 9th across the line. Brian DeSantiago finishes inside the top 10. Hemi Patchy able to take the checkered flag in 11th place. Dr. Porkchop in 12th. Up next, we'll have Dakota Thomas crossing the checkered flag in 13th place, with Zach Terrell taking the checkered flag in 14th, Corbin Windsor 16th, Just Dakota Thomas and George Elmer remaining. We lost Parker Standrett, Mondo Mando, Louis Franco, Edward Pena, Jake Terrell, and Jeremy Wasson from the race. Dakota Thomas takes the checkered flag here in 13th, and George Elmer into the wall. Stranded there is the AMG. Not sure if he can get that car going or not. The yellow flag being shown there by the marshal. BMW. Perhaps looking to help George Elmer out here. There we go. He got to bump. Elmer's rolling. There might be a good amount of wheel damage. Yeah, back to the pits goes George Elmer. Ricardo Rivera takes the race win. Perchalski in second. Lucarelli in third. Torres fourth. Justin Beachley fifth. Josh Lopez in sixth. Rahil Naidu seventh. Chris Larondi eighth. One Bigley ninth. Brian DeSantiago rounds out the top 10. Podium sitters, please join us in the green room for a quick chat. We have the Aston Martin drivers all already in there waiting for us. Let's bring them in. Hello, Mason. Hello, Grant. Welcome in. How are you guys doing this evening?
Just absolutely lovely.
Grant, what happened there? It looked like you were just going a little bit slowly and let Mason through at the end there.
I had used up my speed tokens early on. I was at like 2.5 out of 3, and I had an orange coming out of Eau Rouge, so I had to slow down to not take the drive-through penalty.
Yep. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Certainly in a situation like that, drive-through would have been pretty costly there. Might have lost you a couple places.
Yep. So unfortunate, but happy about it.
It was actually team orders.
Team orders, yeah.
I told them to let me pass him, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens there. Grant, you were able to take the race lead at the start there as well. It looked pretty good. Then Ricardo got through. Talk us through the start of the race from your perspective. You had a good run down the hill and had the lead after you went through the top of the hill.
Yeah, I was not expecting to have the lead after turn 1, so it was kind of almost side by side going into Eau Rouge, but got off the line good. After week 1, I failed to get off the line and dropped like 10 positions, so that's been my main focus, and then just making sure I don't crash the car, really, because I've got the pace. But yeah, turn 1 was good. Ricardo's just faster than me, so I knew at some point he was probably going to take the lead from me, but it was nice to at least have it for about half the race.
Yeah, and then it looked like he lost a position because he ended up behind you, Mason, at one point as well in third, and then he had to fight back through the pair of you. Talk us through what it's like defending the Lamborghini of Ricardo Rivera behind.
I think I was just praying that he had damage. No, like, I obviously don't want to see anyone crash, but I was hoping, just to give us a chance that maybe he had a little damage. But he just spun, and I think he just messed up his tires a bit. But he's insane, so he needed to give us any chance we had, and that was it. But like, at some point, I knew even when he had the tire issues that he was probably going to pass me, and I tried to defend for Grant as long as I could, but it was a losing battle.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you do at just some guys just are naturally quick. Rivera, we know he's quick from seasons past, and yeah, it's certainly showing the dominance here. 3 for 3 on race wins, but the Astons have putting on a good show. The number 10 and the number 11, though. I think you guys, this is what, your guys' 5th podium now combined?
Huge day for Pacific Northwest Motorsports, so
Each day. We'll take a 2-3.
we'll take it.
Yeah, certainly a good race out there from you guys. You guys basically within a second of each other the whole time. Was there ever a moment where you guys felt like you were going to start getting more bumper to bumper, side by side kind of racing, or were you just kind of waiting it out, Mason?
I think our plan was like, if as long as we had a gap behind, we were gonna kind of like we'd be able to fight maybe later in the race, but we didn't want to let like Torres or some of the other faster drivers before Jake disconnected catch up to us. So it was just kind of like chill, maybe last 5 or 6 laps, start fighting a little bit. But yeah, we both wanted to get the podium, so it was important to work together to hold the gaps to behind.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, excuse me. Certainly able to do just that there tonight. Almost halfway into the season. Next week, we're going to be at round number 4. It seems like it's absolutely flown by already.
That it has. We just need to get a race win, so that's our goal here. Either it's me or Grant. We got to get one before the season ends.
Yeah, I believe those Aston. You guys are looking mighty quick in the Astons. I believe next week's race is at Sebring, if I'm not mistaken, or Fuji. It's one of the two. How do you guys feel about those tracks?
Oh man, Fuji, not so stoked on, but Sebring's one of my favorite in the game. It was like the very first one that I learned when I picked up LMU, so I feel pretty strong about my pace there, but we'll just have to see. I mean, I always enter the race feeling good, and then I see in practice Ricardo's running like a second faster than me, so yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I can confirm Fuji next week, and then Sebring is going to be the week after that.
Oh,
So I
boy.
just got those two a little mixed up, but yes.
Cool.
Sebring's still on the agenda. Fuji next week. Looking forward to what you guys can deliver out on track. Congrats on the podium finish tonight. Thanks for joining us for a quick chat. Enjoy the rest
hold
of
on.
your evening. What's up?
Quick shout out to my boy Spencer Weiss in the chat, and no, I'm not going to Salt and Straw with you. So thanks for streaming as always.
Of course. As always, happy to have you guys here. Move you back to the green room. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Mason, for joining us this evening. Apologies for not being able to provide the qualifying tonight. Got back a little bit later than expected, but great racing action tonight from the LMU folk on the Tuesday sprint season. Tomorrow, the ACC Multi-Class Championship gets underway, also at Spa-Francorchamps. Thank you for the follow, Mr. Hampatchy. I hope I'm saying your last name right. Please let me know if not. But yes, tomorrow ACC gets their season underway at Spa with a 75-minute race with the GT3s and the GT4s. The Thursday iRacing League also starting up this week. They are doing an IMSA grid for the multi-class format with the LMDHs and the LMGT3s. On the Friday LMU mixed hypercar and GT3 season starts on Friday as well this week. Lots of stuff getting going, getting started. And yes, most of those races will be streamed for you here on Twitch and maybe even to YouTube, depending on who's streaming. But yes, Saturdays, everybody gets a nice little break from Trackalicious. Before we go back to iRacing for the MX5 Cups hosted here on Sunday nights. And on Mondays, it's the GT4 Rookies. Their season opener happened yesterday, going to Brands Hatch next Monday. Thank you, as always, to everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. Great last to fifth run from Justin Beachley there. Well done to you. The last to not last challenge completed. And let's give a friendly Trackalicious raid to Noobs Are Us. Doing some ACC streaming. Got a good broadcast going. Still a good amount of time in the race. Are y'all putting VOD up? Yes, it will be up on YouTube within some hours. It just depends on how quickly everything gets exported, but you can watch the replay on Twitch. Right, as soon as this is over, it's available to watch. So yes, that's available right after this. Stick around for the raid of Noobs Are Us. It's all good, Ricardo, my man. Not a problem. You didn't know I was streaming? That's fair. I started it a little bit late, got back just in time to start before the race got underway. But hey, better late than never. Glad you guys were able to get some good racing action in. It looked like it was pretty fun from your side of things. But yes, stick around for the raid. Noobs Are Us, doing some ACC. Join us tomorrow for our ACC multi-class season getting underway. SimGrid's the place to get signed up for all of those races. Discord the place to go for all the latest news and info and any sort of server information that you may need. I have been Kuja Terekov. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are watching us from. Thank you, as always, for joining. We'll see you next time.